Yo, and welcome back to Creeps and Crimes
Podcast.
I'm Taylar.
I'm Morgan. Happy Thursday and happy episode 203.
Next week's big week.
204.
204. We got to figure that out.
We got to find something fun.
We got to find something
college-oriented
so
or
good.
apartment-oriented.
Yeah.
Or
what if we did like a special? Like, you know how we used to do back in the day? Guys,
we did a lot of specials.
We did a lot of specials. I'm sure we could find something good.
Yeah. We'll think on it.
Well, it'll be funsies. Everyone, because I think this is like when everyone's going back to school.
Yeah.
All these mamas getting their kids dropped off.
If they're not back already.
All these daddies dropping them kids off, being like, thank God.
Yeah.
So
kids are in college.
Yeah, everyone's going
classes,
back.
They got us in their ears.
Listen, baby. Make sure you share it with your friends.
The most wonderful time of the year.
Because that means whenever school starts going back is that it's spooky season.
That's right.
It's officially, I mean, I consider August to be like mildly spooky.
Well, according to Disney,
Halloween.
Now.
Halloween.
August 1st, Halloween.
Yeah, so it's Halloween. Congratulations, everyone. Yes, we are back. We came back safely. It's the Tuesday before you listen to this episode. And we had a great freaking time.
We had such a good trip.
We had such a great trip. I'm so excited.
Like, I was really like, we did so much, but like, I wasn't stressed.
No, I said out loud to oh my God. I thought that the glass was off of that picture because there was no reflection in it. And I was like,
don't do that to me.
I won't do that to you. I won't do that to you again. I'm sorry. I have a habit. I got to break that habit.
Jail. Straight to jail.
I said out loud to Logan, I was like, that was like half work, half fun. But like the work was so fun that like I didn't even feel like
it was work.
And we were on just like such a roll. But this is a time of the year too that we get on our fucking grind. And I think finally our mental is with it.
Yeah.
You know? Like I think our mental's like, okay.
Now, are we exhausted today? Absolutely.
100%. 100%.
I texted Taylar. I said, I'm napping after work. I will be over eventually.
And I said, thank God, because I only have one page of my script done. And I still have not looked at it to see how many pages it is. So it could be 5. It could be 32. There's no in between. Yeah. We have no idea.
We had a great trip. It was so much fun. We got to see our Lexi girl, married the love of her life, Miss Celia.
And it was such a beautiful wedding.
It really
such
was.
A beautiful reception. We got to go meet Maggie, our manager. Amazing.
She's so cool.
So amazing.
We've known
Disneyland.
her for a year.
Yeah, we've literally known her for a whole year now.
But like that was like her first in person.
Yeah.
She's an LA queen.
She's a little LA mama.
And then we did Disneyland.
Yep.
Hilarious. I mean, guys, when we say we were grinding every day on 3 hours of sleep, like
it was her
not
job.
Even an exaggeration.
No, like there was no sleep being had, and you'll understand in the future, and you're gonna come back to this and be like, "Holy fuck!
How did you guys do that?
How did you guys do that?" We also have a Patreon vlog from Disney, our whole day at Disney. We vlogged it, and then everyone got to see on socials that we did the food.
The taste test,
testing or whatever. It's so good.
We ate so much food. But also we didn't. Like we had little things
that was literally
the days.
What you saw us eat is literally what we ate all day.
Yeah.
And we did have a little snack break in the middle when we came back to the room.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, but that was it.
That was
it. It was goldfish and pretzels.
Starburst.
It was a really balanced and healthy meal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We ate junk the whole time for sure.
And then we're sitting in San Diego at this restaurant.
Oh my God.
And this girl comes up to us and she slams her hands down on our table. And we look over and she says, "This is going to sound crazy," or whatever it was that she said. And then she goes, "I love your podcast." And me and Morgan were flabbergasted.
We were like, what the fuck?
No, like across the country. That was
at a random brunch restaurant.
Debra, you changed my fucking life.
No, it was we didn't stop talking about it for, we're still not done.
I still haven't stopped talking about it.
It was so cool, guys. And she was just like so confident. Everyone that we ever run into, it's, are you Taylar Morgan?
Yeah.
She was like, I love your podcast. We were like, we thought she was coming over because the wedding is a bunch of Knoxville people or Tennessee people. So we thought she was coming over to be like, hey, are you guys going to Lexi's wedding?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't that at all. And then her your husband comes.
Oh, he was so sweet. He comes around behind her with the camera.
Smile on his face. He's like, get your picture.
I wanted to get a picture, and I'm pissed that I didn't get a picture on our phone. So Deborah,
send it to us.
Please send it to us. DM it, email it, whatever you need to do. I'm dying. I just want to have it up on my wall on my mood board to wake me up every morning and be like, oh,
so many Debras out there.
I can't wait till we have our next Debra occurrence. That was so good.
It was, and she had a golden retriever.
Oh my god,
and a baby.
And we had been watching the golden retriever since we walked in. Like we the whole time we just wanted to love on that baby.
It looked like Ollie. I was like, whoa, it's just extra fluffy.
Like when we came around the corner and saw you guys walking up the sidewalk, I literally turned around and said, "There's an Ollie."
Yeah,
and we're walking up and we're like, "Oh my god!"
Baby,
we were rushing to be able to. We were like speed walking so we could walk beside the Ollie.
Like, what are the odds?
What are the fucking odds? It was
his
crazy.
His mama is, or and her guys, mama. I don't know if the dog was a boy or girl.
Thank God that Aaron was there, or no one would have believed us.
Yeah,
we had a witness.
Yeah, we would have had to call the boys and they'd be like, "Oh, that's cool."
No shot.
There's no way.
Yeah, that
you guys are liars.
They would like be like, "Oh, we're so happy for you," but then they would think secretly like.
And whenever we got home, that was one of the first things Aaron said to his cousin. He was like, "Yeah, dude." And then they got noticed at this restaurant. I'm like, "Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
We're
famous."
Yeah.
We're not.
It was the pick me energy that we gave out last week that allowed that to happen.
We manifested that.
Yeah. We're like, come find us at LAX.
Come find so us ridiculous
in Los Angeles.
And we did see like all of y'all's DMs being like, "Where are you at?" Da, 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 da. But guys, we
had a packed
schedule.
Slept
3 hours a night every night that we were there. Yeah. Our shit, we literally
no naps.
It was literally movement the first break we got, the first and probably only break that I can even think of, was when we sat in the Disney room for an hour just because we needed to wait. We needed to change because it was getting chilly. A, and B, we were waiting for our lightning passes and we had already done everything that we want to do. C, we were going downhill.
We were going downhill. Then we none of us napped. Not even Aaron, which was surprising.
No, we just phone napped is what I call it. Just sat there on our phones. But yeah, so it was a crazy time. We had a great time.
But also while we're there, we wake up, minimal sleep, and we have a DM.
Yes, and this is something that we have to address. So we're going to get into like a business section catch up, and then we'll let you get to the cases. We wake up to a DM and it says, "There's no way this ad just played on your episode." To say that we shit our pants, because that is
Morgan
never happened. That has never happened before. It was
ever.
The first thing we saw when we woke up that morning. You know, immediately I'm DMing the person back, trying to figure out where it's at, what's going on. Me and Morgan immediately call our higher ups and we're like, who the fuck let this slip through?
Yeah.
Because it was a political ad and we do not allow any political, drug, weapon, any ads like that, like a commercial ad, not a host read ad, which is when you hear us saying it. A dynamic or commercial ads, kind of like a Flow from Progressive.
Flow from Progressive. Yeah.
So there was a political ad on there that it was distasteful, something that we don't allow, never have, and we don't know how exactly it happened. But immediately after finding out, within the hour, we had been on the phone with everyone we needed to be on the phone with, and it was taken care of.
So sorry, guys, and it was taken down.
Yes, and if you heard that, I apologize. This is not a podcast for that. And also, if you were offended by it, we're very much apologize, because that's literally never happened before. We don't know how it happened.
If we had to take a guess, it's probably that politics are now categorizing their ads as other things like lifestyle, news, and that's how it's slipping.
Because it's an election time and no one likes
if we had to take a guess, but we don't know for sure. It could have been a mistake on our team's fault.
Yeah,
our team's
it could have been, because you heard last week we had literally just transferred. Yeah. So in that transfer, we were waiting for things to kind of shake out, and that was a massive hiccup, but it got taken care of really quickly. And thank you so much for letting us know, everyone that DM'd us, because I think we got more than one DM about it. Thank you guys to everyone that reached out to us immediately, because you knew that you were like, this is not right. Yeah, this is not right. So we got it taken care of. So we apologize that you hear that, though. Another thing having to do with ads is, Morgan, do you want to take it?
Yeah, we saw a Reddit post Sunday about how oversaturated our episodes are currently, especially if you're listening to the backlog. So any episode beyond like the last 3.
1 through 149.
and that there's like 15 ads going on. So we had a meeting about that today, and we got to the bottom of it, and we're going to get it fixed. It's going to take some time.
It's going to take 398 hours. Exactly.
So here's the deal is that when we swapped networks, our previous network and the previous network before that didn't take the time to remove the ads that they had placed into our podcast, meaning now that they are currently embedded or they're stuck there in the original audio track,
which is not allowed and something that we specifically requested not to happen, but
oversight on our part, I guess, but laziness on everyone else's part.
Yes.
How this is going to work is we are going to be going through every single episode, and we are going to have to timestamp where these ads are in our original audio. We're going to have to pull the original audio down, edit the episode, re-upload.
Yes.
It's going to take some time, but we do apologize about that because that's so fucking annoying.
It's so fucking annoying.
And we're not even getting money for those either.
Yeah. It's free advertising for these people. And I mean, great deal for them. Horrible deal for us.
Yeah.
We thought that it was taken care of because
everyone was telling us
it's taken care of. Don't have to worry about it. So if you happen to be listening to the backlog right now and you want to volunteer to help us out and tell us where these damn ads are, let a bitch know.
DM us.
DM us. We would gladly have some volunteers. We'll make you a special thing of merch and send it to you.
Yeah.
Because we literally... what should we call it?
The ad cleaners or
ad police.
Police. Right. And we thank you guys to those who DM'd us about the merch connections.
Oh, fuck. Yeah, girly. We got to get back to you.
Yeah, we got some good little insight on that.
Yeah. Actually, there's two. We had an email and a DM. Yeah. So we'll get back to both of those.
Another thing, Spotify.
Oh, yeah. There was an issue, like a little hiccup with Spotify. We think that it's taken care of, but it was like episode 202. Like you guys could see the transcripts and you could hear the ads. Of course. Of course. And we are fucking shysters, it looks like. But you couldn't hear the actual audio. We think it got fixed because now I can hear it on my end, and we didn't get any more DMs about it, but we did reach out and they're investigating it. But we think it's because there was a large update of system processing that was going on. And last thing, and we'll actually get to the shit, we are not going to be posting video anymore on Spotify. It'll be YouTube exclusively because we found out that if you watch the video on Spotify, even while you're listening, like you're listening to audio, it doesn't count for anything. So you just
like
are ghost listening.
Not an analytic, like
nothing. And so we were wondering, we were like, all these bitches like hate us.
We're like, we dropped drastically in numbers and we couldn't pinpoint why. We're like, what did we do?
What the fuck is going on?
Our socials are growing. You know, we're getting more engagement. Our Patreon is growing, but our numbers were just so down.
We couldn't figure it out.
And then we're like, well, someone told us. And then we're like, well, that tracks because I can't tell you how many people are like, we love Spotify video.
Yeah.
So,
and we love it too because it's a really cool feature.
Yeah.
But if they're not going to make it to where it's compatible to run this business, then
and I'm sure it's a glitch that they'll fix in the next couple months.
They're still technically in the like testing phases of using video on there for the public. So hopefully once that gets fixed, we'll be back. But guys, we're grinding. It's
grind time.
It's grind time. It's spooky season.
Season 5 approaching. Spooky season.
Such good things coming.
Yeah.
Such big good things coming. But we'll get into it now.
If you're driving, throw that shit on cruise control.
If you got a glass, pour that shit up.
And let's get
creepy.
Okay.
Maury, what do you have for us today?
So today I am covering the true story of the movie The Entity.
Ooh,
you ever seen it?
Never seen it.
Me neither. Or the Doris McGowan-Bither case.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah. So her story turned into the movie The Entity, and I guess it's actually a relatively well-known movie. But I think it was like horror whenever like Insidious and like early age. We would have been in like probably elementary school when it came out.
Kind of like where it's more like Paranormal Activity realm.
Yes.
That era of scary movies.
Yeah, those were good movies.
That was a great era of scary movies.
That was good.
Bring them back.
You don't get shit like that no more.
You just get the Conjurings and they choke you and you sleep. It's 3D.
Growing up, Doris came from this upper middle class family, and while this sounds stable to many people, Doris actually had it pretty rough. It was an abusive home. Her parents were alcoholics, and this resulted in Doris becoming quite the rebellious teen. When she was around 10 years old, the family moved from the Midwest to California, and with that was a fascination for Doris with all things paranormal. During her early teens, Doris was known to obsess over the paranormal or the occult. She would hold weekly, if not nightly, seances and use her favorite spirit communication device, the infamous Ouija board.
Oh, no.
While dabbling in the occult, Doris also began drinking and using drugs. And at some point during this, there was this huge altercation that broke out between her and her family. There's no information on what that altercation was, but I'm sure it was just the misuse or the alcohol.
Yeah.
She was very young. It wasn't long before her family ultimately threw her out and disowned her later in her teens. So still a teenager, but probably 16 or 17 years old.
Yeah.
Shortly after that, her parents died, and then followed by her aunt and uncle. And it was apparent that the entire family had disowned her at this point when they left her entire inheritance to her brother.
Holy shit.
Mostly every relationship that she was in resulted in a failed relationship, majority becoming abusive, and she had given birth to 4 children, all who had different fathers. In 1974, at the age of 33, Doris packed up her 4 kids, aged 16, 14, 10, and 6, 3 boys, 1 girl, and moved to Culver City, California. This was their new start. As a single mother to 4 kids, this was exactly what they were looking for. A fresh fucking start.
Yeah.
When they moved into their new rental home on Braddock Avenue in Culver City, things were weird upon move-in. While settling in, they got a knock on their door, and Doris opens it up to find this strange woman on the other side. She was Hispanic and only had 2 things to tell Doris before she turned and walked away. 1, I used to live in the home, and 2, this house is evil.
And she just walked away.
Walks away.
Get your ass back here.
Yeah. Excuse me, ma'am.
Come back.
Babe.
Come inside.
Yeah. Sit down.
Yeah.
You need a glass of coffee?
I need you to
Cup
show
of
me where
coffee?
everything's at.
Yeah, what's going on? So without any sort of explanation, she turns and she leaves, leaving Doris with this cryptic message that would come to fruition in the days coming. It started with the lights. They would turn off and on when nobody was near the light switches. And then they noticed that objects were moving on their own. Doris described the first startling instance when a candelabra, which is like candle holder.
Candelabra, yeah.
Candelabra.
I think that's how you say
I had to look it up because I didn't even know what that was.
I call them candelabras, but I say it so weird. It sounds like I'm like choking.
Candelabra.
Candelabra.
Yeah, I don't know. Candelabra. It's a candle holder.
Chupacabra.
This candle holder lifted up off the table and was thrown directly towards her.
Oh, shit.
But this wasn't the only thing thrown Doris's way. As she stated, a fuse box detached off the wall and flew through the air also in her direction, as if she was being targeted. And things continued. Noises started, strange noises that were indescribable and not human made. And then the apparitions themselves. First, they were shadows, only being picked up by Doris and the kids' peripheral vision.
Ugh.
And as the days went on, the shadows became more intrusive into their everyday life. They began to take the shape of a human and could be seen visible sitting in the corner of the room, or even more startling, standing right in front of their line of sight.
No, just like being like, don't care anymore. I'm going to show you where I'm
Right,
at.
like here I am. Hi.
Hi. How are you doing?
It wasn't only Doris and the kids spotting these shadow figures, but the neighbors were spotting them through the windows as well.
Oh, that's when you know it's bad.
Yeah. And they were noticing that these shadows weren't just one spirit, but multiple, at least up to 4 shadow figures at once.
Oh my God.
Brian, who is one of Doris's middle-aged boys, would later say that it would resemble a fog-like structure, and it was shaped like a human, but also not really, and instead more like a statue. So like, I'm assuming it wasn't like, didn't have like the flexibility of a human, but was kind of like statuesque, like walking.
Just like
statuesque. I think that's how you say that.
Yeah.
He said that they would be watching TV and then the shadows would just walk right in front of the television. My dad would literally blow a gasket because I used to do that and dance in front of the window at night in the reflection.
Yeah.
Make a better door than a window.
Literally. Every dad is immediately just on fire. Hair's on fire.
Out of the television.
Yeah.
They're trying to watch something. At this point, this entire poltergeist situation was really irritating and kind of just annoying to the family, especially to the kids. But things took a turn for the worse when they realized that these apparitions weren't just roaming about. They weren't friendly at all. According to Doris, she was attacked in her bedroom by 3 separate entities. Trigger warning for sexual assault and rape. Doris retold a traumatic and nightmarish event where 2 male spirits held her down by her wrists and ankles while a third spirit raped her.
Oh my God.
And this wasn't a one-time thing. Doris was constantly being beaten and attacked by these spirits, with the kids witnesses to it all.
No, oh God, no, Morgan, no.
According to Brian, during his interview with Ghost Theory, he said, quote, "The whole rape thing was real. My room was right next to my mother's. I would hear the attacks happening, things being thrown, her screaming. Then she would come out of the bedroom and have all these bruises on her legs and her inner thighs, her wrists and her ankles. There were times where we could see it happen right in front of us. It was like if a man was standing in front of my mother and would start to beat her. Imagine a woman being beaten right in front of you. You could see her being picked up and thrown around. Sounds, slaps. You could hear, yet there was no one there to actually make those noises."
Oh my God. And there's nothing you can do.
Right.
Oh my God. That's terrible.
How traumatic for the kid.
That's so awful. I mean, that's like
and her.
Unfathomable. Like, that's terrible.
Scary. And also, according to Brian, his mom wasn't the only one that was being attacked. All of the kids were bit, scratched, pulled, shoved, and clawed. And it didn't matter the time of day. This wasn't only at night. This could happen at any point on any day. The kids started calling the largest entity as Mr. Who's It, like who, W-H-O-S-E it, Mr.
Okay.
Who's It. Brian talks a little more about this. I listened to the whole interview. I didn't mention this, but the kids believe that Mr. Who's It was actually their grandfather.
Oh.
And he said because the entity told them that it was their grandfather and that it looked like their grandfather.
Okay.
But the paranormal investigators were like, I don't think that's your grandfather.
No, I think it was maybe trying to trick them.
Yeah. So Mr. Who's It. And once the kids began to get attacked, Doris realized that she needed help. She found out that 2 paranormal investigators and parapsychologists from the University of California at Los Angeles were going to be at a bookstore nearby. So Doris headed that way and approached parapsychologists Barry Taft and Carrie Gaynor. And this version of the story varies. So some say it was a friend of Doris who overheard them talking like at the bookstore and just like jumped in and was like, "You guys know about ghosts? Like, my friend Doris really needs your help." Tells them the story. "Please come help us. Come check the house out." Other versions say that Doris knew that they were going to the bookstore and like for like
pulled
a reading
up.
Or something and just pulled up and was like, "Please help us." Either way, the 2 investigators noted that the house was a mess when they got there. And this investigation was shut down pretty quickly when the 2 didn't notice anything that could have been deemed as evidence of the paranormal or anything otherworldly happening there at the house. So they referred Doris to a psychiatrist at the Neuropsychiatric Institute. But within a couple weeks, Doris called them up again, begging them to return, and even having witnesses on the phone to talk to the investigators as like witnesses to events that have happened.
Oh, wow.
So the 2 come back, and immediately when they walk through the door the second time, they are hit in the face with the smell of rotting flesh.
Oh, Jesus God.
It was a hot August day. There was no AC in the home, and the house was stuffy and hot, except for Doris's bedroom. When they walked in, it was ice cold. Beginning on August 22nd, 1974, the 2 men launched a 10-week investigation into the haunted home in Culver City, California. The first thing they did was have Doris go into one of the rooms where most of the activity had occurred. I'm assuming her bedroom, but it wasn't stated. And asked her to start yelling and swearing at the entities to try and draw them out.
Oh, wow. These are professionals, huh?
Like, maybe have her do
don't
it.
fucking do that.
Hey, you motherfucker. Come out here, motherfucker. Like, what?
Oh my God. Could you imagine?
Like, call them motherfuckers. Call them shitheads.
Call them dirty bastards.
Like, why did they do that to her? That's fucked up.
That's awful.
Yeah, it is terrible. Almost immediately, they caught really intense orb activity.
I'm sure they did.
And they had spots of like light, they called it light flitting, all over the place. They then saw Doris surrounded by what they described as a greenish mist from which the upper torso of a man appeared, but like no bottom half.
Ew.
They did not capture the entity on film, but they did get a photograph of Doris with this like strange arc of light appearing over her. So I have this picture.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
And you can see at the corner of the room that if this light was reflected, it would have had a bend, but it doesn't. So it's not like on the wall.
Weird.
It's not a reflection on the wall.
That's so weird.
Yeah, it looks like a literal rainbow.
Yeah, it does. But it's like crooked. It's not like a perfect half circle, so it can't be like a reflection of anything.
Well, and if you kind of like look at this side, it looks like it's like forming something. I'm not sure.
Let me see. It does. It like looks like it's forming something.
Into something else.
Yeah, because on this side,
and they're all
like a
looking
harsh
that way.
They must have heard something over there.
Yeah. And then this is the second one. It's got 2 lights in this picture.
Oh, yeah. And look, there. It looks like there's
like also dissipating.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, into the ceiling.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
No, thanks. No, thanks.
The investigators stated that their presence alone was aggravating these spirits and that the activity would get strong specifically when they would play Black Sabbath songs. So they're like, let's play some heavy rock.
Let's play some
heavy metal, please.
Fucking heavy metal.
Play it. Press play.
I can't imagine being terrified already of spirits and having to listen to Black Sabbath.
On 5, 6, 7, 8, Doris, you scream motherfucker on 1, heavy metal plays on 3.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why are they they're teasing them though? Like they really
is like so unsafe.
Yeah, I agree.
They're really not thinking about protection in this.
They also recognized this correlation between Doris's drinking and the paranormal activity. They said that she was a relatively heavy drinker, and her son disputes this claim like through and through. Like he was like, my mom drank, but she wasn't an alcoholic when she had us, especially in that house. They're the only ones that confirm or say this about Doris.
Okay.
The kids do not. So I just wanted to put that out there. But they said that she was a relatively heavy drinker and that when she was drunk, the activity was a lot more prominent than when she was sober. And when she was sober, there was hardly any activity going on.
Okay.
But regardless, the activity was always hotter, like when Doris was around in general. So
it has a lot to do with her.
Yeah.
It's centering on her.
Right. And it does make sense that whenever you drink you put your
vibrations lower. Yeah.
So
it's literally a depressant.
But they like, I don't know. It's like really controversial, these two, obviously.
I mean, I'm fully on board with anything that they're getting canceled for.
And it really offends the kids. So I don't really want to speak too much on it.
Well, and plus, like, she literally grew up with alcoholic parents and she didn't want to put her kids in that situation.
Right.
Like, if she wants to have a drink a night, like...
Well, and if that's going on, I'd probably need a glass of wine.
Yeah. You know what I'm going to need? 3 bottles.
Yeah, exactly. So, like I said, the activity was always just hotter when Doris was around in general. The investigators say that they saw bright green yellow balls of light, which they referred to as corpuscular balls of light. Oh. Corpuscular, and they were flying around the bedroom, and they were successful at capturing photos of some of these light anomalies, and that's the second photo. Those were the light balls. The first one, there was just a regular orb that they saw floating, like it wasn't glowing like this. So we'll have those on our Instagram for you. And then Barry Taff reported that eventually Doris just kind of packed up, moved to Texas, and then back to San Bernardino, California. This also varies too, because the way these guys write about this story, they'll say that that they were there all the time. It was like a 10-week like straight investigation, and the kids are like, they were there like maybe every other Thursday.
Oh my God.
So like at one point she was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here.
Yeah, I just gotta go. So
she packed up and she left the home, and they said that she had like called him up at that time saying that she was still being followed by these spirits, and that she actually got impregnated by one of the spirits, and that's why she left.
Okay.
But when her son was asked about this, he believed that she didn't carry anything to term, but he believed that it was probably one of her many boyfriends that she had during then, if it was true. He doesn't ever remember his mom saying that she was pregnant by the ghost. I mean, would she tell the kids that?
I don't know if I believe anything that these investigators say other than their pictures.
Right.
Because they kind of seem like they have it out for Doris.
Yeah, well, they kind of seem like they thought this was their big break and they were going to be the next Warrens.
Yeah, and so they were.
That's what I think their goal was.
Yeah, but you can't be the next Warrens and only come every other Thursday.
Yeah.
You got to have better work ethic and grit than that, babe.
Right. Over time, the contact between the investigators and Doris and the kids very heavily just stopped.
Yeah.
Like, even though she was claiming that the paranormal activity followed her, I think she was like, I need to eliminate all contact with these guys. Because
they don't seem to be helping.
It's obviously making it worse. And 2, they're not taking me seriously.
Right. And they're saying that I'm a fucking alcoholic.
Yeah. Barry Taff ended up writing a book about this case in his book, Aliens Above, Ghosts Below. And he and Carrie Gaynor published a lot of their findings in multiple scientific journals. And Doris told her story to author Frank D. Felita, who wrote the book, The Entity, based on her experiences. I don't know if this was known by Doris at the time or if he reached out to Barry Taff himself himself, but Barry served as a consultant on this book, and then later also a large role on the movie that was based on the book.
Oh god.
So I truly think they're just trying to like be the next
they're just trying to make money
of Warrens. While Barry has remained hesitant to draw a conclusion on the case, he suggested in interviews that he suspects that at least some poltergeist activity was psychokinetic activity, possibly coming from Doris herself or perhaps the teenage boys. And then he says that this is further corroborated by her son's claims that their family always had some minor level of psychokinetic activity even before moving to Culver City. But that doesn't mean it's your fucking psychokinetic? Teen boys. I think it's like
Matilda, like you can move shit with your brain?
No, I think it's like making it up in your head, but like to the point where like you're all doing it without knowing it.
Oh, like it's kind of like groupthink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't believe it.
I don't know.
The case obviously has never been solved, but I don't know what there would be to solve. It remains a mystery to this day, but let's hear what the son, Brian, had to say about all of this. According to his interview with Ghost Theory, he says, quote, "The whole investigation lasted about 2 or 3 months, but it wasn't like Barry was there every single day. So for him to say that this could have been some sort of telekinetic thing that my mother was creating is all bullshit. She didn't want to have this happen. It's a possibility, but it's not like he knew what we were really going through. He was not an Uncle Bob that knew the family and was there every day. He was only there for 3 months. And from that, he would show up every Thursday or every other Thursday or so. When the team would show up, I hated it because I knew as soon as they left, the ghosts, the spirits, would become so angry that the house would come alive. It was as if the ghosts were upset that we went and told, like they were throwing a temper tantrum, a hissy fit. So things would start flying, we would get attacked, but when they were there, nothing was happening."
Yep.
Like many people speculated, Brian was asked if he thinks his mother created the poltergeist herself, to which he said that it could be likely, but like I said, he disagreed a lot with what the investigators published. But one thing he doesn't disagree with was the fact that their house was evil, his mother was being assaulted, and he and his siblings were living in hell. And that is the entity house.
That's crazy.
And these guys, like, they don't have many, like, okay, so they're researchers for the university. Cool.
Okay.
But like,
so it's like 55 billion other people.
Right. And I also feel like when you are involved, or when, I don't know how to say this without offending any researchers or scientific people, but like, I feel like researchers like that, they will try to prove science as an answer for everything. Mm-hmm. And so therefore they don't come with the protection of what a spiritualist or like a medium or someone who deals with this would come with.
Because they don't believe it.
Because they don't believe it. So instead they're sitting there, they're aggravating it. They're making it worse for the family. And these spirits know not to show them anything because they're like, fuck you guys. You're making a mockery of us.
You're literally telling her to call me a motherfucker.
And then they get pissed off and it makes a hell for the family.
Yeah, it does. And we've seen it like like this is not a first time occurrence where it's like there's little activity when someone's there and then a ton when everyone's gone. Like that's pretty normal.
Yeah.
Because think about like if you were a spirit.
And then I also think that they were like, I think it's more like that psychotelekinetic or whatever they were saying. I don't even know what that word is. Psychokinetic, because they were pissed off. They were like, she got up and left. Like she was making it up herself. Like she got up and left because you guys weren't fucking helping. No one was taking her seriously. Yeah. So she got up and she moved her kids away from safety.
And I
guarantee you she was just pregnant.
Yeah.
And you guys were like, she told me she was impregnated with the kids were young. Yeah. So like they're not gonna, I mean not that young, but like this Brian, the one who speaks out on it, he was the middle child. I think he was 10 when this was happening.
Or she's like, I'm leaving because I'm pregnant, like, and I don't want to do that.
Like,
oh, you're pregnant, are you pregnant from the ghost? And she's like, maybe, you know, whatever. Exactly. And like just made like a fucking probably comment. Yeah, like, I mean it fucking could be, we'll see. And then, you know, maybe unfortunately lost the baby for whatever reason, chose not to have the baby for whatever reason. But either way, like that could have been that conversation, and instead of just telling the truth, they're trying to make a buck off of it. Right. And trying to make a name for themselves.
And they got in on the book. They got in on the movie.
Yeah.
And the movie, Brian does say, like, if you were to go watch the movie after this episode, he says, obviously, it's super Hollywood, exaggerated, cinematic.
I'd be sure.
But there are some parts that are true. And he was like, that did happen. Yes, that happened. But there's a lot where he's like, no.
And I also don't really like that they're like, not... Yeah, exactly that. They're victim blaming her. Yeah. The whole time they're like, we think this is all in your head.
Yeah. And first instance, someone comes pleading to you while what?
No. Just making sure that wasn't locked.
Someone comes pleading to you while you and your buddy are at a bookstore, and you take one look. You're supposed to be these like renowned, like you talk yourself up to be that.
You're on a tour essentially,
right? And you're like, you should probably just go to an asylum real quick.
That's like if y'all called Susan and Susan was like,
you should probably go to a mental
you should go to a mental hospital. What?
Yeah.
No, she would never say that.
And then 2 weeks later, having to have multiple people on the phone being like, no, she's not lying. We've seen it. Like, this is real. Like, she really needs your help. And they come in and the first thing they do is say, you should probably screen some like obscene words.
Yeah. You
really get them going.
And you're a drunk.
And you're a drunk.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So that's the case I got.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I really would like to actually watch the movie.
Me too.
Just because I want to see like how they portrayed the investigators in it. Mm-hmm. Like if they were like all holy and above, or like if they were like,
or if they made her seem crazy. I'm interested. I do want to watch it. Not tonight.
Yeah, but not tonight.
Maybe soon.
Yeah.
Maybe we go rent a theater and we play it there and we don't have anything else to do with
Not in the house. Does anyone want to open up their living room for us to watch this?
Who is allowing scary movies in their home? Because it ain't us.
It ain't us.
It ain't us.
That's for sure.
You can call me anything you want, but you can't call me that. Okay. Thanks for that, Morg. I hate it.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. The case I have for you today, I'm also in LA or California.
Yeah.
Out west.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I knew we would do that.
We
didn't talk about it.
We didn't talk about it.
I did tell Taylar that I was thinking about maybe covering the Whaley house because we were going to go in San Diego, and then I was like, no, I don't think I have enough time for that.
Yeah, that one we'll just save that for spooky season.
Yeah.
Like, what if that's your first episode of, because I can't believe we haven't done that one yet.
I know.
I don't know how this works.
And I almost did at USS Midway.
Oh, yeah. That'd have been a good one.
But it was like the only people ever to investigate. It was like the San Diego Ghost Hunters or something.
Association.
And there's nothing on it like that I could find. So I'd probably have to be like a 4-hour YouTube video if I had to guess.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah. Sorry, I need to get comfortable.
Yeah, what's going on
I'm
over
like
there?
slipping and sliding all around. Okay. I'm ready now. I'm just going to jump right into it. It's Monday, August 20th, 2001. And at 6 p.m., Bruce Koklich calls his wife's best friend, Jan, of like many years. This was like one of her longest friends. And he asked Jan if she has seen or heard from his wife, Jana, or knew where she would be or whatever.
We have a Jan and a Jana?
Yeah, we have a Jan and a Jana. Okay. Bruce's wife is Jana. Bestie girl is Jan. Okay.
Iconic.
Yes. He calls Jan and he's like, yo, have you seen or heard from Jana today at all? Because I haven't seen her since this morning at 6 a.m. And Jan says, no, I haven't heard from her either. Why? What's going on? Immediately, Bruce breaks down in tears on the phone. He's sobbing. He's hyperventilating. It was as if he had realized that his wife was missing for real, because it was like it was his last string of hope that her bestie would know where she was. Because if your bestie doesn't know where you're at, no one knows where you're at. So he hangs up with Jan and he calls Lakewood Sheriff's Department and reports his wife of 11 years, Jana Koklich, missing. Jana's case was then handed off to Detective Dolores D. Scott with the LA Sheriff's Department, Missing Persons Department. And Bruce explained to the detective that morning he had woken up, as he typically did, and left his and Jana's shared home in Lakewood, kissing Jana goodbye at 6 a.m. so that he could go work out before heading into their shared office. So these two ran a real estate business together, and their office was like just a little bit away in Bixby, I think is the name of it, the suburb, but it was like, I think like a 2-mile drive. Yeah.
I don't know why I've heard of that.
2-mile drive. Isn't that the name of a movie?
Bixby? Last Mimsy?
That's what I was thinking, Mimsy.
That's what I'm
Yeah. Good. I'm glad we're on the same page here. So he wakes up, he goes in and works out, and he's like, okay, like this is what they did every morning. He would go work out at 6. He would go to get to the office, which they owned, a business real estate office, open it up, and then she would come in at like 9:30. Iconic. If me and my husband ran a business together, I would not be coming in.
I was like, see you at 11. Oh, so sorry. I actually have a massage today.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
Can you handle that?
So tired. Do you think you can handle that today? Yeah, exactly. So he kisses her goodbye at 6 a.m., goes, works out, gets to the office around 8 a.m. Like I said, Jana would typically arrive between 9 and 9:30, but 9:30 came and went and she didn't come. So Bruce starts asking around the office, like, has anyone talked to, seen my wife? So he's confused and he's thinking like, okay, Maybe she's just running late, but typically she would call. So then he's kind of just like waiting around thinking that if he calls and asks, like he's going to get in trouble because maybe there was like an appointment that she told him about and he didn't remember, like a doctor's appointment or something, or a hair appointment. So he kind of is like, she's going to walk through that door any minute. I'm just going to wait it out. But 30 minutes or so go by. 10 a.m. rolls around and she is still nowhere to be found. And Bruce at this point is like, my wife would never do this. I know my wife. She would call me. I have to go find her. Also, it was kind of fueled by the fact that everyone else in the office was like, something's not right. You need to go find Jana. So he and Chris Bodasan, which is one of Jana and Bruce's business partners, they like they're building a separate company together, which I'll come back to. They decide that they're going to drive over to their house and see if Jana's there. Like maybe she fell in the shower or something. They had no idea. So Bruce and Chris get to the house and immediately they open the garage and Jana's car is gone. So they go inside the house and the security alarm had been turned on. So they turn it off and they start looking around for her phone, her keys, her wallet, her purse, her work bag, and all of it is gone. Like I said, the alarm was set. So that's something that she typically did in her routine when she was walking out the door on her way out. But because Jana is an adult, investigators kind of just have to assure Bruce, like, she's probably going to show up in like 24 hours, just like 99% of all missing adults do. Maybe she just needed to go blow off some steam. Maybe you forgot where she was going and she told you 15 times. But if she doesn't, it will be at that point that we sound the alarms. Stay in contact with us. If we call, answer, we'll put out BOLO for her car. So if she gets pulled over or if she had been in an accident, we'll immediately get a hit on it. And so Bruce reluctantly goes home. But that's really all that anyone could do at this point. On Tuesday, the next day, August 21st, 2001, Bruce reaches back out to the police department in the morning and he's like, can confirm she never came home. Something's really, really wrong. So together, Bruce and Jana's close friends and family gather all at the couple's home in Lakewood and just kind of set up shop on like, what are we gonna do? Where would she go? Let's all brainstorm together. Then they start calling hospitals, police stations, friends of friends, clients of clients, like people that they've done business with, morgues even, and they're just trying to track her down. They even looked up helicopter teams that you could hire to do search and rescue. Personally, it was like super expensive. But Bruce is like, I don't give a shit. I'll pay it. Let's find my wife. And the reason that they were considering this was because if she had gotten in a car accident when she was like going to run an errand before she came into work, it could have been in one of the canyon areas. So no one could see her from the road. So they're like, we could just put a helicopter up and see if they see anything, because her car was like a big, bright, white SUV. And to be completely honest, Bruce and the family and friends that are brainstorming all of this are really on the exact same thought process as investigators. Because, okay, here we have a 41-year-old, very, very organized, routine, hardworking businesswoman that just vanished into thin air. And according to everyone, and I mean everyone that knew her, this was so out of character that the only thing people could think happened to her was either she was in a car accident and was trapped somewhere in a hospital with no ID for whatever reason, was a carjacking victim, or she was kidnapped. And that's all that they could be like, that makes sense. Because everyone that knew Jana knew that she would also never just walk away from her life, her business, or her routine. Like that was her kind of like the thing that scratched her itches. It was just her job and making everything.
So if one of us goes missing,
right, and we just like didn't show up for a recording. We're in a car accident,
we got taken, or we're in a hospital.
Exactly. There's nothing plausible. That makes sense.
Which, by the way, if that ever happens, that is one of the. I have no intention on running away. We're just letting you guys know.
Oh yeah, we're not running away.
So if something ever happens to say both of us, just know. Fight everyone. If they're like everyone. They just ran away.
No, they didn't.
No, they didn't.
No, they did not. No, I'm too scared to do that.
Yeah. Are you kidding me?
What do we do?
We couldn't even stay at a hotel by ourselves.
No, and we would definitely use credit cards and get caught. Like they'd be like, yeah, their credit cards are going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The others, they needed Dunkin' though.
Yeah. We passed by the Dunkin'. We just really wanted it.
Yeah, we would have
couldn't help ourselves. Yeah. We had to get a little treaty. Yeah, exactly. Those are the only things that would remotely make sense. And it was because of this theory that the missing persons unit actually reached out to the Los Angeles Sheriff's Department and asked the homicide detective Karen Shanka to come and assist in their investigation. And together, Detective D. Scott and Detective Karen Shanka went out to Bruce and Jana's shared home just less than 24 hours after she was reported missing to look for clues that could potentially lead them to Jana. I just want to take a second here to shout out these two badass female detectives. Love to fucking see it. Thanks, babes.
Period.
When Detective Scott and Shanka arrived at the Koklich beautiful Lakewood home that sat on this amazing golf course in a safe and quiet community, the first thing that they did was sit down and talk with Bruce about the days leading up to his wife's disappearance in more detail. Bruce begins walking the detectives through his and Jana's weekend. That Friday night, so 3 days before, on August 17th, 2001, Jana and one of her best friends, Nene, went to an Eric Clapton concert together, and she had returned home just after midnight, so approximately 12:30 a.m. She goes to bed. Saturday morning, August 18th, Jana was so exhausted after that concert that she and Bruce together decide that they're going to sleep in, and this kind of kicked off an impromptu lazy weekend for the couple. Bruce and Jana decided that they were going to stay in, be in their PJs all day, every day for Saturday and Sunday, put their phones away, mute their house phone, and just have a quiet weekend alone together. No outside contact. So that's what they did. They didn't answer any calls, work or personal, because as we know, being businesswomen and owners ourselves, it's a slippery slope. When you're like, oh, no, I'm not working. Then you pick up your phone to text your mom back, and all of a sudden you see a notification, text, email, DM, whatever, call having to do with work. And then you
especially when work is in the palm of your hand.
In the palm of your hand, you wake up and you're like, it's 2 minutes late. I mean, it's 2 hours later, and you're like, what the fuck? It's a Sunday.
Yeah.
It's a Sunday. What am I doing? And the real estate agent, so everything's over the phone. Call. Either way, though, they didn't let themselves fall into this trap of working this time. But wanting a break from the hustle and bustle wasn't their only reason for laying low that weekend, ignoring all calls. Their main reason was something that really changed the trajectory of this case, giving detectives a sinking feeling. Bruce explained that Jana was scared to answer the phone because of this mysterious, unknown male voice that continuously had been leaving her messages. Immediately, detectives are intrigued as Bruce goes and retrieves this tape and tape player with one of the messages recorded on it that he thought sounded threatening, which is why they kept the tape. He presses play, and this man's voice begins to play. And he's addressing Jana directly, saying things like, you know who I am. You know you need to call me. Call me now. This was incredibly disturbing for Jana and Bruce when they first received it. So together, they kind of take this tape and they play it for everyone they know to be like, do you know whose voice this is? They say that we should know who they are. And no one could recognize this man's voice. No one could be like, yeah, I remotely can recognize that one. At which point that they really started to be concerned about Jana's safety, so they started doing their routine with the alarm systems. Anytime we're leaving the house, anytime we're in the house, we're staying in the house, it's on because they were scared. But why would someone be targeting Jana? She didn't have any direct enemies that anyone could think of. So who could this person be, and why Jana? Well, the answer to that question revolves around who Jana's father was. California State Senator Paul Carpenter.
Oh, shit.
From 1974 to 1976, Carpenter served in the California State Assembly before serving in the state Senate from 76 to 86. For the most part, he was a very well-liked, popular, and prominent politician in California during this time. However, in 1990, Carpenter was convicted of racketeering, conspiracy, and extortion as a part of the BRISPEC, it's like BRISPEC, sting operation, which was conducted by the FBI as they investigated corruption within the California state legislature from 86 to 88.
Holy crap.
But before his sentencing, Daddy Paul fled to Costa Rica, claiming that he was being treated for prostate cancer. Obviously, the feds didn't buy it, so he was extradited back to the United States and served in prison from 95 to 99, meaning that he had only been out for 2 years prior to Jana going missing. leading investigators and everyone to fear that she was abducted and being held hostage as a way to target her father. And the media really took this angle on the story and ran with it.
I bet they did.
Side note, I don't know if he actually did have cancer at that point in time, but I know that he died of prostate cancer. So if that was...
Yeah, that's kind of fucked up.
It's kind of fucked up.
But also you can receive treatment here, not Costa Rica.
Right. Exactly.
Like that was like a win, not no win.
No win. It honestly, if he lied about it, that's just fucking karma.
Yeah.
You know, but if not, then that's like they were like
he used it as a
means
as a way to get out.
Yeah, exactly. So either way, this information about her dad paired with the weird voicemails really kind of changed the urgency behind the investigation into Jana's disappearance. Could this anonymous man on the phone be the person that abducted Jana? Maybe they got to know her routine because she was so routine and followed her as she was leaving the house that morning, or clocked when Bruce walked out of the house and somehow had found a way in to bypass the alarms, or maybe Bruce forgot to set the alarm that morning. Who knows? Bruce told Detective Scott and Shanka that they had his full consent to do whatever they needed to do to find his wife. You can search my home, my car, all of our properties, all of our offices, whatever you need to do. Finances, you have my permission. Go in there, find my wife. Praying that they would find just something, a quickly jotted down note, a phone number, anything that could help them find Jana. Investigators went through every drawer, cabinet, answering machine, voicemail that was left, every trash can, every purse that was hanging in the closet, searching every single corner of that house. They even went to the couple's repoed properties, which are like their rental properties that were located in pretty heavy crime areas around LA, to search for clues, fearing that she might have gone there to pick up rent as she typically would, or deal with a renter for whatever reason, at which point she could have been attacked or abducted. But Bruce also made it a point to note that Jana always had a gun in her car at all times, which she would carry on her when showing homes alone or collecting rent from these rental homes. So now, only 24 hours in, investigators are in a race against time to locate Jana. They immediately do a massive push to the public through the media, plastering Jana's face, name, car, and story everywhere in LA, knowing that the second they could locate her car, at the very least, they would be a step closer to finding Jana. Because if this really was a retaliation, political targeted thing against her father, there would more than likely be a ransom note left somewhere, or a call that would come in, or something would come in the mail or to a news station. They were waiting for the abductor to reach out, and it could possibly be in the car. So the next day, Wednesday, August 22nd, 2001, it's the 48-hour mark. Investigators call in, I believe the FBI. I don't know if they called them in or if they just wanted to run this past them. But either way, they're like, let's do some digging into the political theory, because they're going to have to be involved if this is a targeted politician. And pretty quickly, they were able to rule this out as their main theory, because according to the profiling unit for this specific type of crime, the fact that no one had reached out for a ransom by the 48-hour mark was essentially unheard of in situations like this. So investigators kind of pushed this to the wayside for the moment in order to avoid getting tunnel vision on the political theory, and instead began to really start intensely interviewing everyone in Jana's life: neighbors, friends, coworkers, employees, family members, housekeepers, people that mow the lawns nearby, to see what they can conjure up. But interview after interview, no one could think of a single person that might have it out for Jana. No one person's name really stood out to investigators, except for one that was mentioned in passing: Chris Bodason, which was the guy that was their business partner that went to the house with Bruce and found that Jana's car was missing. Bruce and Jana had been happily married for 11 years in 2001. By all accounts, they had this very fulfilling and loving marriage. These two had a lot in common. They were both incredibly driven people with huge goals in their shared career. And they had become very, very successful together. They were a great team. In fact, they were considered local real estate moguls. But they also really enjoyed just being with each other, being alone, being in the same room. Jana's best friend, Jan, that I mentioned earlier, said that they were always together. There was no Jana without Bruce and no Bruce without Jana. They made every decision together. They set every goal for themselves themselves together. They planned on how they were going to achieve these goals together. But one of the things that they had a disagreement about was Chris Bodison. Chris was their business partner in a software company that they were just getting off the ground, like at the time of her disappearance. Bruce didn't really go into detail about what exactly it was that happened when talking to police about Chris and Jana's relationship. It's not like an affair or anything, but Jana really didn't like Chris. Something rubbed her the wrong way.
Bad feeling.
They had some differences that neither of them were able to put aside. And with them being business partners, this is not good. This is not a good working environment. It means that there were a lot of disagreements on operations and the formation and foundation of this company that they were building. So when detectives heard this, it immediately sent up a red flag in their minds, because this is someone that would have real motive for wanting Jana out of the picture. He was one of the very few people that would actually benefit from Jana's disappearance, because he would get more stake in the companies. And about the time that investigators are putting these puzzle pieces together, they learn that Chris Bodison just so happened to leave town right after Jana went missing. So detectives quickly track him down and they interview him, during which he gave them an alibi for that weekend and the morning that Jana went missing. He said that he was with his girlfriend and then he was at the office with Bruce. Somehow, I don't know how exactly, I couldn't find what was the reasoning for this, but they conclusively were able to prove his alibi, said that it was rock solid. Therefore, he was cleared as a suspect. And it was at this point that investigators started kind of feel like they were on a goose hunt. Like, what in the hell is going on here?
No leads, nothing.
No leads, but there's like so many leads, but they're not going anywhere.
Right.
But when they interviewed Nene, the best friend that Jana had gone to that Eric Clapton concert with the Friday before her disappearance, something stood out to detectives. Nene explained that they had a great night. Nothing seemed off with Jana at all. She was her happy, normal self. They had a fantastic time. They sang every single song. They were like, we're going to lose our voices. Just besties, bestie girling at a concert. But Nene did remember that Jana was adamant about not being out too late or drinking too much. She literally only had a half glass of wine the entire concert and dinner before, because she had to get up really early that next morning, so Saturday morning, for an appointment at the gym with her personal trainer, Dean. This was interesting to hear because of the story that Bruce had originally told investigators about Jana just being so tired from the concert, so she wanted to sleep in. Yet he never mentioned this appointment or if she had canceled it. So investigators brought Dean, the trainer, in for questioning, during which they learned that Jana was a no-call, no-show for her appointment, which was completely out of character for her. Dean was adamant that in his 4.5 years of training Jana one-on-one, she had never, not once, missed an appointment. She was never, not once, late for an appointment.
And her intentions just hours before, the night before, were that she was going.
She was going to work out. And this is not like it was a session that she had rescheduled from like one that she had to miss during the week for Saturday morning because she couldn't make it. And it just like slipped her mind like, oh my God, I totally forgot I moved that there. Because Jana and Dean had a standing 7 a.m. Saturday appointment for 4.5 years.
And the husband should have known that. And didn't mention it?
Exactly. As they would learn from Dean and friends of Jana. Like everyone confirmed this. 100%. And it was while talking to these friends about these training sessions that almost every single one of them started making comments about how in recent years they had noticed that Jana started working out really hard and working really hard on herself, specifically her appearance, for no specific reason. She started working out, losing weight, getting her hair done differently, getting it dyed and cut more often, even getting her teeth done cosmetically, which stood out to all of them as a pretty recent and large shift in Jana's life, leading investigators to wonder if there was possibly anything going on between Dean and Jana.
Interesting.
However, they were able to quickly rule out this theory and take Dean off their suspect list. But going back to Jana missing their Saturday morning appointment, Dean was obviously concerned, considering Jana had never once missed an appointment. So he starts calling her. She doesn't answer. It's going straight to voicemail. He calls the house several times, leaves voicemails, no answer. He even calls Bruce, gets no answers. But he's thinking maybe she's sleeping? She'll call me back. Never calls me back. Well, investigators also learned from this interview with Nene, because don't forget, all this shit came out in the interview with Nene. They also learned from this interview with Nene about a massage appointment that she and Jana had booked for 2 p.m. on Saturday afternoon that Jana just never showed up for. When she didn't show up from the massage place, Nene starts calling Jana's cell, Bruce's cell, the house phone repeatedly, trying to check on Jana, because this is like, what the fuck?
Timeline check.
Yes.
She gets reported missing Sunday.
No, she gets reported missing Monday night.
This is Saturday. Got it.
Friday night was the concert.
Got it.
So she starts calling Bruce, Jana, the house phone, to try and figure out what the fuck's going on, bitch. We have a massage appointment.
Right.
Where
Don't
you at?
miss that.
You're not going to miss that. And
No
she literally
refund.
was thinking, she was like, I thought she had to have been in a wreck. Like, there's literally no other explanation for it. And these calls and these voicemails that she's leaving, they spanned the entire weekend into Monday. So naturally, detectives began to question Bruce about this. Like, why would Jana not call Dean back, not cancel with Dean, or even more notably, one of her very best friends? Like, why would she just ditch Nene? That makes no sense. And again, Bruce just reiterated that we just wanted to blow everyone off. We just wanted a slow weekend. She had a headache when she woke up, and we did this one time. Like, how the fuck am I supposed to know that she's going to go missing on Monday? This was so weird for me too. Like, why would my extremely motivated wife want to do this for the weekend? But I'm not going to argue with it. She wants to spend time with me.
Yeah, I get that.
I get it. But name me one woman that would leave her literal best friend hanging and miss a massage appointment.
Right.
Especially when the whole point of them not answering the phones and staying in their pajamas all day was to be lazy and recover. You don't want to go get a massage?
Right.
And not to mention that being in real estate, your entire job is answering the phones even when it's inconvenient, even when it's on the weekend.
So why wasn't Bruce answering?
Unfucking heard of.
Right.
Red flag. By the time Saturday, August 25th, 2001 rolls around, it had been a full week since Jana had missed her appointment with Dean, missed her massage with Nene, and 5 days since Bruce had last seen his wife as he kissed her on the forehead before leaving their house on Monday morning. And there was still no sign of Jana. That day, though, investigators had an interview with the Koklich's housekeeper of 9 years, Consuelo, during which she had some really interesting things that she had been waiting to share with them. Consuelo explained that every Tuesday was the day that she would flip the bedding at the Koklich house. So she would strip off the old sheets, take off all the pillowcases, throw those into the washer, and then put a brand new set on that she had washed the week before. The Tuesday before Jana's disappearance, so Tuesday, August 14th, Consuelo remembers putting on these white sheets that had black writing all over them on the primary bed. And she remembered this because they were her favorite sheets that Jana and Bruce owned, because they had these like really sweet little encouraging messages on them. They were like happiness, love, be happy, you're fulfilled, like really sweet things. But when she went to change the sheets the day after Jana went missing, so Tuesday, August 21st, those sheets were not the ones that she found on the bed. Instead of it being the white sheets with the black writing and sweet messages, it was, this is crazy, it was only a full-sized flat white sheet that had floral prints on it. So it's like not even the right size for the bed. The bed was a queen and it's a full. Next, it's not even the same type of sheet that you need to put on a bed. It's not even got the elastic things.
That sounds like a man.
Sounds like a man to me too. And Consuelo immediately clocks this, because in the 9 years that she has worked for Jana and Bruce, never once had they ever changed the sheets themselves. She was the only person that changed the sheets. And being a curious girly, Consuelo begins to look around the house for those white sheets with the black writing, her favorite ones. And they were nowhere to be found. This sent full chills down her spine. So she started taking inventory of everything in the house. And she realizes that those sheets were not the only things that were missing. There was one towel missing from the bathroom and one pillow missing from the bed. And she knew this shit.
Yeah, of course.
So finally, detectives feel like they're no longer on this goose chase and they're getting somewhere in the investigation. And then, just 2 days later, on Monday, August 27th, 2001, Los Angeles Sheriff's Department gets a call that Jana's 1996 white Nissan Pathfinder was discovered by authorities parked in a vacant garage off California Avenue or street, depending on the reports, in Signal Hill, which is an area of Long Beach, California, approximately 4 miles away from Jana and Bruce's home. However, when searching through the car, they were unable to find her phone, keys, purse, or gun that she always kept in her car. What they did find inside the car, though, would later prove to be crucial pieces of evidence. In the trunk was a single white feather, like what you would see inside of a pillow if you ripped it open. Similar to what would be inside of that one pillow that Consuelo realized was missing from Jana and Bruce's bed. But even more so important to the feather was what was around it, stained on the carpet, which looked to be a pretty large blood stain. But how did her car get here?
Right.
Well, investigators would soon find out that it was going to be a lot more complicated than someone just hiding this car in the garage and being able to tie the owner of the garage back to the car, and thus the disappearance. Because a group of teenagers came forward admitting that they had found the Pathfinder unlocked and abandoned, with the front windows rolled down, the keys in the ignition, Jana's purse, phone, and gun just laying on the front seat in plain sight at approximately 8 a.m. on Monday, August 20th.
Where'd they find it? In the garage?
No, they
Just
found
anywhere.
it on the side of the road in Signal Hill. So Bruce gets to the office at 8 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And they find this at 8 a.m. She hadn't even left the house yet, from what we know.
Right.
Being dumbass teenagers, instead of just keep on walking, they take the Pathfinder for a joyride. They go through all of Jana's belongings, take what they want, then throw Jana's purse and phone on a nearby apartment building roof that thankfully investigators were later able to recover, and then sold the gun for cash, which later a local priest had put out like $100 reward and was like, if you'll just surrender it on the church, we'll work it out and I'll never tell anyone who you are. I'm a priest, hand on the Bible. And it did get returned.
Oh, wow.
It did get returned.
Well, the person that bought it probably didn't know it was stolen. They were probably like...
Right, because obviously these dumbass teenagers have no idea that this is a missing person, that is a fucking state senator's daughter who is now being not just a missing person, but like a homicide investigation because they just found blood in the back of the car that they didn't know was there because it was dried.
Right.
So now, on top of all of this, investigators are having to track down that gun because at the time they had they had to work that deal out with the priest. Either way, Friday, August 31st, 2001, a large search is conducted in the petroleum fields, which has those dippies that we saw out there, and I call them Wallies. Yeah, those in the petroleum fields, which were just a few minutes away from the location that Jana's car was discovered and by the teenagers and then investigators in that garage. But unfortunately, after a very extensive search of like 140 people, they found nothing. Absolutely nothing. Wednesday, September 5th, 2001, it had been 16 days since Jana went missing, and investigators secure another and more extensive search warrant for the Koklich household, during which they would be able to conduct a luminol examination, which is the black light in the liquid that shows you if there's like blood anywhere. But this wasn't a situation where the house lit up like a Christmas tree, like some cases. Instead, they found just a few drops throughout Jana and Bruce's bedroom. In the primary bedroom, there was only one large droplet of blood found in the carpet near the bed, along with a few other drops that were just kind of like scattered throughout the room, but they were significantly smaller. Investigators cut these drops, like the carpet samples, out and sent them off for testing, along with the carpet from the back of Jana's car that they believed to be a blood stain. And they compared these samples with Jana's DNA, which they secured by taking her hair from her hairbrush in the primary bathroom of her home. And all samples that were collected came back as a positive match to Jana, immediately making the number one suspect in this case the man who reported Jana missing, her husband, Bruce Koklich. Because even though he had been incredibly willing and helpful throughout this entire process, and even though everyone, and I mean everyone, was adamant that he would have nothing to do with Jana's disappearance, this shit was not adding up. He was the only person that had access to Jana the entire weekend. He was the last person to see her, and he technically has no alibi because his was literally, well, I was just at home with Jana alone. And based on all of the evidence that investigators had found thus far, even without a body, was that she had to have been attacked in her own home. So in a Hail Mary-like attempt to officially determine Bruce was involved or not, detectives just asked him, can you take a polygraph so we can verify your story, give you an alibi? And he agreed, but he had a request. Bruce wanted to review all of the questions that would be asked in the polygraph prior to taking it, which is against LASD protocol, but also all protocol.
Right.
You don't get to know the questions beforehand. It's like just so beyond the point of a polygraph. So they declined. They're like, no, we can't do that. At which point, at the direction of his attorney, Bruce refused the polygraph. Now, this was really odd to pretty much everyone because here we have this man that is literally unable to sit still because he is so frantically searching for his wife. He is calling the media himself and setting up interviews where he's making pleas on the camera in everyone's home in the evening news and morning news and afternoon news for any information to lead him to his wife. And he's offering this $100,000 reward for any information that would lead them to his wife. Just being like, I want my wife to be returned. I want her to be safe. Like, please come home. Please let her come home. Just as much as Jana's face was everywhere, so was Bruce's. And this prompted several calls to come in to the sheriff's department from local women. These women claimed that Bruce had reached out to them and proposed going on dates. One was a woman that worked at the escrow office that he asked out point blank. Another lady was just at the bank when he walked up to her and said, hey, do you want to go on a date with me? And one was even his and Jana's neighbor who told investigators that Bruce had left a note on her windshield asking if her granddaughter would go on a date with him. And these instances didn't just happen before Jana's disappearance. They were currently happening. Like the day that he went up to the woman at the bank, she went home, turned on the news, and he was on the news. And she was like, that dude just asked me to go on a date and he's on here pleading for his wife to come back. Yeah.
Red flag, triple
red flag. With every single one of these women turning him down because they just felt like something was wrong. Not one of them gave him their number or agreed to go on the date. So when they saw that his wife was missing on the news, all these women collectively, separately, having no idea of each other, began calling the police. And once investigators start looking into these instances and interviewing all these women, it's like the list got longer and longer. They found out that Bruce had a long history of creepily asking women out, hiring sex workers, making rude comments towards women, groping and grabbing women, and being so aggressive towards women, which leads family and friends, as they're learning this, to immediately connect the dots between these issues of him having affairs and whatever to Jana's recent like change in appearance, like wanting to get her teeth done, starting to wear makeup, changing her wardrobe, working out. And they're like, oh my God, she never told us.
Yeah, that's sad.
So sad. So awful. Everyone knew that she would have to just become more appealing to him because divorce was something that Bruce said would never be an option. He would never agree to one because he was crazy controlling and a money-hungry man. So a divorce would mean that they would have to split everything 50-50 because everything that they did together. Well, only adding more fuel to this firestorm of evidence against Bruce, investigators learned that both he and Jana had $1 million life insurance policies. And then neighbors came forward and said, actually, I do remember something. Not about Monday, though. It was about Saturday because they heard a man and a woman scream fighting at 5:30 a.m. on Saturday morning. And then once there was silence, it was followed by a sound of what they could only describe to be the moving of heavy furniture. And this is a ton of great information and evidence against Bruce. It's just what investigators needed to basically be like, yeah, 100% he was involved. However, they have no body, they have no weapon. They needed something more concrete because at the end of the day, this is all circumstantial.
Right.
Well, October of 2001 comes around, and it's been 2 months since Jana went missing. And investigators get a call from a woman claiming to have seen Jana's white 1996 Pathfinder sitting off of her residential street in Signal Hill, sitting in an alleyway. And this was the street where the car was found abandoned by the teenagers. But she saw it the night before the teenagers found it, which was the night before Jana was reported missing. Sunday, August 19th. And inside of the car, sitting in this alleyway, was a man, a white man, wearing a white button-down dress shirt, just suspiciously sitting there looking around nervously. She clocked it because she's like, what the fuck?
New favorite saying of yours, huh?
I know, I keep saying clocked it.
She clocked it.
I've said it like 15 times today.
I love it.
I don't know where it came from either.
I really love it.
I do too. CEO of Clocked It.
CEO of Clocked It.
Exactly. So she sees this man, and she finally tells this to investigators. She's like, I didn't put 2 and 2 together until I saw that white Nissan Pathfinder, and then everyone in the neighborhood was talking about how the teenagers had gotten wrapped up in this case, and so I started looking into it. She's like, I remembered this Pathfinder sitting there with the white man sitting inside of the white button down. She's like, I thought he was a cop. And I was like, that's not an unmarked vehicle. That has nothing to do with a cop car. So detectives bring this woman in, and they lay out 3 6-packs or like photo lineups. So this means that she has 18 total photos that she's going to look at. And they ask her if she would be able to identify the man that she saw in the car that day. So of these 6-packs, there's 3, like I said. One has Dean, the personal trainer, in it. The second one has Bruce, the husband, in it. The third one has Chris, the business partner, in it. So they lay these out for the woman, and one by one, she looks through each of the catalogs and identifies one of the photos as being the man that she saw sitting in Jana's car that day. It was Bruce, her husband, proving that Bruce was not at home with his wife, not leaving that day, just being lazy in pajamas, as he adamantly claimed that he had been on Sunday. Instead, he had driven Jana's car to a high crime area that was just 4 miles away from their house, parked it on a street, unlocked, keys in the ignition, windows rolled down, with Jana's personal valuables sitting on the front seat in plain sight to draw someone's attention, knowing that it would then be stolen, because carjackings in this area are like the #1 crime, because that is exactly what he wanted to happen. Bruce had sent investigators on this goose chase, giving them little crumbs, making them think differently about people, lying, keeping investigators close to them, charming them, making it seem like he was so helpful. He was, frantic. He wanted to just do whatever he could. He was all over the media. He got the public's trust.
Mm-hmm. That's huge.
And now investigators could see the truth about Bruce. He had a lot to gain from Jana's death. The home on this golf course in this great area, the businesses, the properties, the rental properties that they owned, the life insurance policy. He would get everything, and he could be single and fuck as many sex workers as he wants, or women at the bank or at the escrow office, and he would be rich as shit. And investigators start to theorize about what might have happened that weekend based on all the evidence and information that they had collected thus far. Friday night, Jana gets home from that concert with Nene, and together they go to bed. Saturday morning, Jana wakes up to get ready for her workout and have a coffee before going, when something sparks a fight at approximately 5:30 a.m., according to the neighbor's timeline of hearing the arguing and the furniture moving. During this argument, Bruce snaps and he attacks Jana, killing her. He panics and he wraps her body up in the bed sheets before moving her body into the back of her own Pathfinder, which was parked in the garage, so he wouldn't have to go outside. Her body begins to decompose, purging all fluids, while Bruce cleans the entire home with the missing towel. He then throws the pillow, the towel, the sheets with Jana, and then at some point between Saturday morning and Sunday night, he takes Jana's Pathfinder and dumps her body somewhere between their home and Signal Hill, or maybe even the coast, before abandoning the car, hoping and praying that it would be stolen by someone who would then hide the evidence for him. And lastly, he walks the 4 miles back to their home after ditching the car. With all of this evidence that investigators had collected against Bruce, the DA's office files for an arrest warrant. On January 30th, 2002, the warrant was granted, and on January 31st, he was arrested and charged with the murder of his wife, Jana, to which he pled not guilty and bailed out for $1 million. February 18th, 2003, they take him to trial, but they have no body and really just a fuck ton of circumstantial evidence, meaning this was not going to be an easy case at all. So the prosecutors had to prove that he would have this large financial motive for wanting to murder her. And they brought in some witnesses, one being the housekeeper who found the sheets and all of this information. Others, including Bruce's own 18-year-old niece that he had asked to come live with him so she could model Jana's underwear for him nude.
Sorry.
Yeah. Out of left field. Wasn't expecting that when I read it. I was like, I'm sorry, what the fuck?
No, what the fuck?
What the fuck?
Creep.
What the fuck? And other women being his and Jana's close friends that he had asked for sex before and after Jana's death. But just 1 month into the trial, the jury was deadlocked and a mistrial was declared. A new trial began in October of 2003, where thankfully Bruce was charged and convicted, but this time of second-degree murder of Jana, for which he was sentenced to 15 years to life in prison. To this day, Jana's body has never been discovered, and there's evidence to believe that she will never be found because they assume that he dumped her body in one of the holes of those
oil fields.
Petroleum. So that's the case.
That is sick.
So sick. This motherfucker.
Still in jail?
I think.
It's 15 years, right?
Yeah.
So that's 2015, 2016.
2003, maybe.
2018.
So I have no idea.
Was it 15 to life or
Let me
15?
look it up. 15 to life.
Oh, he's still there.
Let's see, though. Because he could have appealed. Yeah. And it was only second degree murder, which is crazy that second degree murder, you go from first degree murder of getting like life in prison, no doubt about it, to then having second degree murder and it's like 15.
15 sounds good.
We'll see. Okay, let me look it up really quickly. According to Bustle, written by Grace W. on July 16th, 2024. A local station, KNX News, reported that Koklich has applied for parole several times. He applied in 2023 but was denied for a period of 5 years, according to the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation. Jana Carpenter, who is Jana's mother, once speculated that her former son-in-law would reveal the location of Jana's body. Quote, I think it's possible that he might in order to get parole, she said in 2004 via the Los Angeles Times. But Jana's body has still never been found. At the end of the Disappearing Wife episode on LA Homicide, which is on Netflix, Bruce's stepbrother, David T., says that he's still in touch with Bruce while he's in prison, adding that he has no sympathy for the former real estate businessman. Quote, the perpetrator has a family too, and they are affected by the disappointment and shame. He later expressed his dismay that Jana's family never received conclusive answers about her death. Quote, not knowing whatever happened to their daughter is very sad and it breaks my heart. And I know that sounds like kind of weird when it's written out like this, but like this guy was so sweet. It's Bruce's stepbrother, and he's literally in there being like, yeah, when Bruce was telling us the story, like at first we had no reason not to believe him, but then like the pieces fell into place. He was a control freak. Everything had to be by his terms. An example of this is that they were going to adopt a child, and Jan, the best friend, even like comments on this. And she was so excited, and they had filled out all the paperwork. They had applied and they had submitted it all. And Jana was so excited. She just really wanted to be a mom. And then about a month before her disappearance, so in
September,
July of 2001, a month before, they had gone out to dinner together, Jana and Jan, and Jan's like, so how's the process with the adoption going? And all that Jana would say is, there will be no adoption.
Oh, man.
And then I think it was Nene that said, it's Jan and Nene both agreed on this, her best friends. And they said it's because having a child would take Jana away from her businesses. And that's why they didn't have kids earlier. He was just crazy.
Yeah, that's sad.
And like when you're already in prison and you know you're not getting out, dude, like why not just say what you did?
Right.
Why not just admit to it? This guy is a manipulator, crazy.
He probably has convinced himself that he had nothing to do with it.
Yeah. And like very clearly he did it. You can't tell me any differently. He's guilty as sin.
Yeah.
I mean, from the jump, like the calling Jan, where is she? The fact that after 30 minutes, you're of her not showing up to the office, you're like, hey, Chris, will you get in the car and come check on the house with me? Mm-hmm. Because 30 minutes go by and I'm like, okay, I forgot something. Maybe at noon, I would be like, let's go check the house when we take our lunch break. Let's go drive by.
Right.
Call the house a few times. No.
Yeah, weird from the jump.
Makes
me sad for her friends and her family.
Me
Seemed
too.
like a boss-ass bitch.
Like a little sweetheart. Just really like worked hard and made a name for herself.
Did everything to get her husband to love her.
And not feel the need to go outside of their marriage only for that to happen. But you know what? A lot of friends said that, like, she never said it explicitly because she never talked about Bruce negatively. Because for the most part, Bruce was always there. But the fact that she had gone to that concert with Nene and scheduled that massage with Nene and not Bruce, people were like, they
clocked it.
They clocked it.
Yeah, they clocked that.
They did.
They were like,
clock
that's
that.
weird.
Yeah.
Out of character.
Yeah, because they were like,
so things must have been going really bad.
They were thinking like,
that time.
wow, really interesting that she's kind of stepping out like this. And the fact that she, like, Bruce loved Chris and she was like, I don't like Chris. I don't want to do business with Chris. I think there's something shady with him. Like, I don't want to be doing it. For him to not like agree with her, like, and for her to not just agree with him. So she was getting uncomfortable. And she was ready to go. And I think, and a lot of people said, like, I think him shutting down the adoption really
breaking point.
Was her breaking point. So maybe when she comes back from that Eric Clapton concert and she's getting ready, he's like, what are your plans for today? And she's like, I'm going to go work out and then I'm going to get a massage. He's like, what the fuck? Why are you not doing this with me? You need to be at home with me all weekend.
Right. Lost his shit. And for there not to be any blood, I'm assuming.
Yeah. My biggest fear, this is awful. My biggest fear is that, like, you know how there's that report that he asked his niece to wear, it's like he was obsessed with Jana, like in a weird way, like not in the way, like, it's like he wanted her to only be his, like no one else, like you are.
I mean, like, or is holding her captive
and like held her captive, forced her to be at home and not answer phone calls because the furniture moving doesn't really make sense to me unless, you know, what would be moving big furniture?
Yeah, why would we be doing that? Unless there was a rug.
But there wasn't. Like, the housekeeper was like,
and I'm assuming because there wasn't large amounts of blood. Like, one, he's a male, he used one towel. There's no way he could have cleaned it, so he probably choked her or suffocated her or broke something.
And
so
they said,
why does he need to be moving furniture?
They said that the blood that was in the car wasn't like an injury that like bled out. It was probably more so purging, which is the first step in decomposition where your body just loses all of its fluids, releases them. So it would have come from her head and mouth and eyes and ears. Awful.
That's sad, yeah.
So fucking bad. It's awful. But we'll never know what happened or what exactly went down because he literally won't admit.
To admit it,
yeah. He thinks that he's going to get out and have a nice life. Bitch, no, you're not.
Yeah, because how old is he now?
He probably, well, they were like, she was
16?
like 41. So that was in 2001. I think they're the same age. So
55, almost 60.
Yeah.
Sad.
So
Crazy.
sad. Anyways, that is my case. I am sorry. Next week, come join us for 204.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. We're going back to the college apartment that made this podcast. We should record it on a couch.
Okay.
Yeah. We
Couch
could do
record.
That. Couch recording.
We should knock on the door of 204. Be like, can we come in?
Can we come in and record in here? What if it was a different couch? I would scream. I'd be like,
yeah.
Like, what if it's no longer that brown piece of shit?
$300 for us to use your living room for 3 hours.
3 hours.
Should we do it? Should we get in the group message of the apartment?
But only if there's 32 bongs scattered about and then a mountain of shit on the island.
Yeah. Like, also, can we hang up this window panel real quick and get the pillow from the garage?
Oh my God. That would be hilarious.
That would be funny.
That would be so funny. Okay, guys. Everything that we mentioned to you guys in the beginning, just bear with us with the updates to changing things and getting settled and everything. So excited for the things that are coming. Big things. But
big things.
Big things. And We love you.
Give us grace on the ad issue. We're working on it.
Please don't leave us a 1-star review being like, I fucking hate their amount of ads. We know. We hate it too. And guess what? We hate even more the fact that we're responsibly have to go fix it.
300 hours worth.
Oh my God. And remember, if you want to be a volunteer and get a special piece of merch sent to your house to let us know anytime you hear an ad in the backlog, let a bitch know. DM us. And if you're feeling really sweet and kind and like you love us so much and you want to get more of this shit, you could head over to the ad-free.
Literally, if we could get 200 volunteers and we designate one episode
per person.
200 volunteers? Come on, guys.
Can we rally the troops?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Sends out a Google form.
Yep.
If you're interested.
You sign up for an episode.
Sign up for an episode.
Or we'll assign you an episode. We'll sign the Google survey.
Yep.
Yeah. If y'all really fuck with this, go comment on the Instagram post for this episode. Not like a random one. Don't DM us. Get on Instagram.
Even 100 people, two episodes.
Yeah, 2 eps each. Yeah, we can
versus
do that.
us doing 115 each.
Yeah. Because that's just going to be identifying where they are. And then after that would speed up the process by at least a week.
You can listen to it at like 0.2 or 2 times speed.
You can listen to it as
we
fast.
just need the beginning. We'll give you directions if you're interested.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm with it. 200 people. Patreon will do it.
Patreon. Y'all will do it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll send you special merch.
Yeah.
Just if you're interested for real and we get like a good response on our comment section of the episode release for 203 on Instagram, I will literally make the Google survey thing and get your email and your name, and then we will sign everyone and then an
just like open up a giant Google Doc for everyone.
Yep.
And they can go in and put the times.
Yep. Or no, email it. No. Go in Google and put the times. Yeah, go in and put the times.
We'll do a shared Google Doc.
Yep, we will. So if you guys are down to clown, to listen to us clowns, let a bitch know. Also,
thank you.
If you want to get more of us, head over to patreon.com/creeps and crimes. You get 1 bonus episode or 2 bonus episodes a month on the $5 tier. On the $10 tier, you get 1 bonus episode every single week, which is like What's New Wednesdays, minis, plus the bonuses. And then you get like bloopers and shots fired and the whole backlog and all the things. And you can head over and do that now. And I'm going to say that you probably should now if you do want to get the backlog, because there might be some changes to Patreon coming up in the future.
Creeps and Crimes Executive Producer Squad.
Literally. And you can go leave us a review on Apple or Spotify or wherever you listen to your podcast and give us that 5-star and say, these bitches are so funny even though they're dumb as shit.
And they have so many ads.
Yeah.
All right.
Love them though.
Love ya.
Love you. Bye.
Bye-bye.